like in 100 years' time? What will the world be like in 1,000 years' time? But then we stop and say, well, what is time? You see, and then of course you get volumes and volumes and volumes of philosophy written on it. Do you understand? They're reified time, you would say. You see, do you understand? But in the use of the word time, it all makes it, we have no trouble at all. But then you say, what is time? You're extracting it, you see, from the activity, in exactly the same as you do with the mind. What is, you have no trouble in saying, well, John Heaton has something of a mind. You may absolutely disagree with everything I say, but you would have to say, well, he's showing a mind. But you say, what is mind? And then you get into trouble. Or you say, what is the body? And then you get into trouble. Anyway, talking about the living body, we're clear about corpses. That's the body. Okay, so that's one of the things about what he's saying. Now, Wittgenstein's thought is non-foundational, to use the slightly technical. There are no, as far as he's concerned, there are no foundations whatsoever to human beings. God is not a foundation, matter is not a foundation, it's non-foundational. So I just want to quote a man called Cavell, who's a very well-known American philosopher who knows about Wittgenstein. He says, quote, "We learn and teach words in certain contexts, and then we expect it and expect others to be able to project them into further contexts. That, on the whole, we understand one another is a matter of sharing roots of interest and feeling, modes of response, senses of humour, significance, fulfilment, of what is outrageous, of what is similar to what else, what is a rebuke, what forgiveness, when an utterance is an assertion, when an appeal, when an explanation. All the whirl of organism, Wittgenstein calls forms of life. Human speech and activity, sanity and community, rest upon nothing more and nothing less than this. It's a vision as simple as it is difficult, and as difficult as it is, and because it is, terrifying." So to briefly try and make sense of this, you see, supposing we would open the paper tomorrow and the headlines it said, "Scientists have made an astonishing mistake. There's not one sun, but there are two suns. Shall we say one sun is made of antimatter. And the Earth doesn't just go round the sun. It sort of wiggles in and out of the sun, as we know it, an antimatter." Supposing something like that, something bizarre like that. Well, we would all be absolutely astonished. If you see what I mean. I would be astonished. You would all be astonished. And we'd be interested to see, well, how on earth does that make sense? But all we would do is to be astonished. We wouldn't suddenly feel we've gone mad or something. Now, suppose, do you see what I mean? Now, but supposing I were to say bravely to you, that I think I'm in London at the moment, I think I'm talking to a group of people, men and women, as far as I remember, it's 2010, and that I've never been to the moon, I sailed to the moon. Now, supposing when we finish, my dear wife comes up to me and says, "John, what are you saying? It's 2010. It's 4052. You think you're in London, and we know you're an eminent historian of the 20th and 21st century, but we're actually on Mars. London was destroyed by atomic bombs. I've forgotten. 3,000. Was it? You should know. And as for people, they were robots. Sure. They're all robots. They're little robots that you teach them to go out into the schools and so on to teach about matters in the 20th century. See, supposing you said that, well, how am I to react? do you understand? That, of course, I would be bewildered. In fact, as Wittgenstein, I would either conclude that everyone else is mad or I'm mad. I would completely lose my orientation. You see, in other words, he's trying to say that we're orientated by the most ordinary things, by the people around us, the language we speak, the atmosphere and how things happen, etc., etc. Do you understand that? That's what he's sort of saying. That's what he's getting at. That it's the ordinary, if you like, that holds us together. That that's roughly speaking what he's saying. So, next thing is to go to language, because this is a very important thing. Now, there are huge muddles about this. If you read some physicists, not all, but some physicists and others, people will say, and some now neurophysiologists, they'll say, well, the basis of things is perhaps the brain, or what will be found out in CERN or whatever, subatomic matter. That science gives us the basis of everything. Now, Wittgenstein's point is that this is nonsense, because it's science does this, but language does it. We are speaking animals. You cannot be a scientist or a physicist without being able to speak. So, crucial things are that we can speak, that we're speaking animals. And so a crucial thing in him is the development of speech, which has been picked up, of course, by psychologists, especially in Germany, but now I believe even at the Tavistock there, how we develop language. In other words, to do science, you've got to have two things. You've got to have a human brain. Actually, everyone agrees with that. But you've also got to have human language that mathematicians and other people have to speak. It's a language. So we're linguistic animals, and we see the world through language. And what he wants to do is to unravel the mystery of how any symbolic system has meaning, how we're able to express thoughts. And the symbolic system includes, of course, music, painting, and dance. So now we get on to difficult questions, because this is rather the crux of it. You see, he's saying it's as if we see the world through language. Physicists see the world through language, through mathematical language, perhaps mostly, but not only. But in other words, what is the world like if we didn't have language? Do you understand? What is the world really like? You could say. You see, that we see, I just automatically see a group of people here, and a room and a ceiling and a floor and so on and so forth. But this is all linguistic. For example, if you think of a rabbit, if a rabbit was sitting here, he wouldn't see that. He wouldn't have the concepts of people, floor, ceiling, etc., etc. So it is what he's trying to get at a lot of the time is to try and show what is it to think can one think non-linguistically? And of course he says you can't, but yet to so to speak, see the world beyond language is what he's trying to do in a way. But again, straight away you've got to say, well, you can't see the world beyond language, because if you say see the world beyond language, you're still using language, because the word beyond is a language, is part of a language. It's interesting that this has puzzled people, but in a big meeting about 4 or 5 years ago in Peking, the Chinese took to this very readily, because they all know the Tao Te Ching, which is a classic of Chinese literature written 2,000 to 3,000 years ago, and it starts off it says in translation, of ways you may speak, but not perennial way. By names you may name, but not the perennial name. In other words, he means that what he's